Welcome to San Academy Palikarnai, Class 7 Social Science. Happy day, students. We are going to learn our next chapter from Social and Political Life. Chapter number 5. Name of the chapter is Women Change the World. Topics to be covered: fewer opportunities and rigid expectations, learning for change, breaking stereotypes, schooling and education today, women's movements. By getting education, women have got opportunities to rise in every field. Women's movements have risen to challenge discrimination in all parts of the world. Today, both boys and girls attend school in large numbers. Fewer opportunities and rigid expectations. A lot of the children in Rosie Ma'am's class drew women as nurses and men as army officers. The reason they did this is because they feel that outside the home, too, women are good at only certain jobs. For example, many people believe that women make better nurses because they are more patient and gentle. This is linked to women's roles within the family. Similarly, it is believed that science requires a technical mind and girls and women are not capable of dealing with technical things. Because so many people believe in these stereotypes, and many girls do not get the same support that boys do to study and train to become doctors and engineers. In most families, once girls finish school, they are encouraged by their families to see marriage as their main aim in life. It is important to understand that we live in a society in which all children face pressures from the world around them. Sometimes these come in the form of demands from adults. At other times, they can just be because of unfair teasing by our own friends. Boys are pressurized to think about getting a job that will pay a good salary. They are also teased and bullied if they do not behave like other boys. Breaking stereotypes. Engine drivers are men, but 27-year-old Lakshmi Lakra from a poor tribal family in Jharkhand has begun to change things. She is the first woman engine driver for Northern Railways. Lakshmi's parents are not literate, but they struggled and overcame many hardships to make sure their children got an education. Lakshmi studied in a government school. Even in school, Lakshmi helped with the housework and did odd jobs. She studied hard and did well and then went on to get a diploma in electronics. She then took the railway board exam and passed it on her first attempt. Lakshmi says, I love challenges, and the moment somebody says it is not for girls, I make sure I go ahead and do it. Lakshmi has had to do this several times in her life. When she wanted to take electronics, when she rode motorcycles at the Polytechnic, and when she decided to become an engine driver. Her philosophy is simple: as long as I'm having fun without harming anyone, as long as I'm doing well and helping my parents, why should I not lead a lifestyle of my choice? Learning for change. Going to school is an extremely important part of your life. As more and more children enter school every year, we begin to think that it is normal for all children to go to school. Today, it is difficult for us to imagine that school and learning could be seen as out of bounds or not appropriate for some children. But in the past, the skill of reading and writing was known to only a few. Most children learned the work their families or elders did. For girls, the situation was worse. In communities that taught sons to read and write, daughters were not allowed to learn the alphabet. Even in families where skills like pottery, weaving, and craft were taught, the contribution of daughters and women was only seen as supportive. For example, in the pottery trade, women collected the mud and prepared the earth for the pots. But since they did not operate the wheel, they were not seen as potters. In the 19th century, many new ideas about education and learning emerged. Schools became more common and communities that had never learned reading and writing started sending their children to school. But there was a lot of opposition to educating girls even then. Yet, many women and men made efforts to open schools for girls. Women struggled to learn to read and write. Ramabai, 1858 to 1922, championed the cause of women's education. She never went to school but learned to read and write from her parents. She was given the title Pandita because she could read and write Sanskrit, a remarkable achievement as women then were not allowed such knowledge. She went on to set up a mission in Kedgaon near Pune in 1898, where widows and poor women were encouraged not only to become literate but to be independent. They were taught a variety of skills from carpentry to running a printing press, skills that are not usually taught to girls even today. The printing press can be seen in the picture on the top left corner in your textbook. Ramabai's mission is still active today. Let us read about the experience of Rajsundari Devi 1800 to 1890, who was born in West Bengal some 200 years ago. At the age of 60, she wrote her autobiography in Bangla. Her book titled Amar Jiban is the first known autobiography written by an Indian woman. Rajsundari Devi was a housewife from a rich landlord's family. At that time, it was believed that if a woman learned to read and write, she would bring bad luck to her husband and become a widow. Despite this, she taught herself how to read and write in secret well after her marriage. I would start working at dawn and I would still be at it until well beyond midnight. I had no rest in between. I was only 14 years old at the time. I came to nurture a great longing. I would learn to read and I would read a religious manuscript. I was unlucky. In those days, women were not educated. Later, I began to resent my own thoughts. What is wrong with me? Women do not read. How will I do it? Then I heard a dream. I was reading the manuscript of Chaitanya Bhagavat, The Life of a Saint. Later in the day, as I sat cooking in the kitchen, I heard my husband say to my eldest son, Bepin, I have left my Chaitanya Bhagavat here. When I ask for it, bring it in. He left the book there and went away. When the book had been taken inside, I secretly took out a page and hid it carefully. It was a job hiding it, for nobody must find it in my hands. My eldest son was practicing his alphabets at that time. I hid one of them as well. At times I went over that, trying to match letters from the page with the letters that I remembered. I also tried to match the words with those that I would hear in the course of my days. With tremendous care and effort, and over a long period of time, I learned how to read. After learning the alphabet, Rajchandri Devi was able to read the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Through her own writing, she also gave the world an opportunity to read about women's lives in those days. Rajchandri Devi wrote about her everyday life experiences in details. There were days when she did not have a moment's rest, no time even to sit down and eat. Schooling and education today. Today, both boys and girls attend school in large numbers. Yet, as we will see, there still remains differences between the education of boys and girls. India has a census every 10 years, which counts the whole population of the country. It also gathers detailed information about the people living in India, their age, schooling, what work they do, and so on. We use this information to measure many things, like the number of literate people and the ratio of men and women. According to 1961 census, about 40% of all boys and men 7-year-old above were literate, that is, they could at least write their names, compared to just 15% of all girls and women. In the most recent census of 2011, these figures have grown to 82% for boys and men and 65% for girls and women. This means the proportion of both men and women who are now able to read and write have at least some amount of schooling has increased. But as you also can see, the percentage of male group is still higher than the female group. The gap has not gone away. So this table shows the percentage of girls and boys who leave schools from different social groups including scheduled castes SC and scheduled tribes ST, who have probably noticed in the above table that SC and ST girls leave school at a rate that is higher than the category all girls. This means that girls who are from Dalit and Adivasi backgrounds are less likely to remain in school. The 2011 census also found that Muslim girls are less likely than SC and ST girls to complete primary school. While a Muslim girl is likely to stay in school for around 3 years, girls from other communities spend around 4 years in school. There are several reasons why children from Dalit, Adivasi, and Muslim communities leave school. In many parts of the country, especially in rural and poor areas, there may not even be a proper school nor teachers who teach on regular basis. If a school is not close to people's homes and there is no transport like buses or vans, parents may not be willing to send their girls to schools. Many families are too poor and unable to bear the cost of educating all their children. Boys may get preference in this situation. Many children also leave school because they are discriminated against by their teacher and classmates, just like how Om Prakash Valmiki was. Women's movements. Women and girls now have the right to study and go to school. There are other spheres like legal reform, violence, and health, where the situation of women and girls has improved. These changes have not happened automatically. Women individually and collectively have struggled to bring about these changes. This struggle is known as the women's movements. The diversity, passion, and efforts of those involved makes it very vibrant movement. Different strategies have been used to spread awareness, fight discrimination, and seek justice. Here are some glimpses of this struggle. Campaign. Campaigning to fight discrimination and violence against women are an important part of the women's movement. Campaigns have also led to new laws being passed. A law was made in 2006 to give women who face physical and mental violence within their homes, also called domestic violence, some legal protection. Similarly, efforts made by the women's movement led the Supreme Court to formulate guidelines in 1997 to protect women against sexual harassment at the workplace and within educational institutions. Raising awareness. An important part of the women's movement's work is to raise public awareness on women's rights issues. Their message has been spread through street plays, songs, and public meetings. Protesting. The women's movement raises its voice when violations against women take place, or, for example, when a law or policy acts against their interests. Public rallies and demonstrations are a very powerful way of drawing attention to injustices. Thank you.